Hi everyone, it's Deanna and I'm really excited to talk to you about the 4 ace cards that I've created and to talk you through the 4 suits of the Witching Pen Tarot. The tarot deck, by the way, is taking shape really nicely. I have the proof copy of the Major Arcana right here on the little table to my left. I'm going to do a different video about that next week and literally talk you through the 22 cards of the Major Arcana because I just love them so much and they look so good in real life. They actually look better in real life than they do on the screen. I'm so pleased about those. But today I'm going to talk to you about the 4 suits, and I'm doing it in this order because 1 or 2 of the Major Arcana cards gives the suits away. So I might as well talk you through the suits now and my ideas behind those. From here on out, there will be spoilers. Massive, great big, full, complete spoilers for the Witching Pen series. Okay, so if you have not read the books and you think you want to, please don't listen any further. Go read the books first and then come back and listen to this video, because there's no way I can talk about the intricacies of this tarot deck from here on out without going into what happens in the story. The spoilers, really, the big things that happen, the big plot points and so on. Spoilers from here on out. Okay, Suit of Swords has been renamed the Suit of Blades for this tarot deck, and I'm just going to show you now the Ace of Blades. Let's bring that up here on the screen. There we go, and we have the sword. That is the sword. That is Gawain's sword, and that is the sword that Carl ends up using in The Last Dragon. This is Excalibur. We don't know it's Excalibur in the story until, I don't know. I think the last book, I think The Last Dragon, maybe I mention it at the end of The Demon Bride, I don't remember, but it really does come to light towards the end of the series. And that's quite nice because it kind of ties in the fairy legends to it all. And we have Morgana there. Morgan Le Fay appeared, I think, at the very beginning of The Demon Bride, and just a little bit like, oh, well, gosh, what's she doing there? And it kind of just brings everything together in the series. It brings all the gods of the old world together, brings them all out of the woodwork. So that is Excalibur right there. And obviously it's the Witching Pen story, not the story about King Arthur and Merlin and so on. So I don't go into the history of this sword at all. It's literally used in the story of the Witching Pen for the Witching Pen. I don't go into, the rest of it. But it's very symbolic of, in this story, the angels. And there's a lot of angelic energy that is connected to free will independent of God. The rebellious angels really is what this sword symbolizes in many ways, which is what Gawain was. And when we learn about how he was created, we learn about that, I think, in The Demon Bride and in The Last Dragon. We learn about why it was that he was able to have independent thought from God and from the other angels and so on. And really that is what Excalibur symbolizes. That is what that sword stands for. A very kind of traditional looking tarot card, really. We've got the sword standing up there. In the traditional deck there is a hand holding the sword. I've done away with the hand and I've just given the sword wings, so it's basically kind of held up by itself with these wings. In the traditional Rider-Waite deck there is a crown around the top of the sword. It made no sense in context of the Witching Pen story to pop a crown up there, so I popped a halo. I popped a halo because, there's a lot of jokes made about Carl being the golden boy and how angelic he is anyway in personality and so on, that it made complete sense just to pop a halo up there. And that is basically it. The colouring of the card, so you can see how this is separate from the Major Arcana cards I've already shown you. The banner at the bottom is a kind of icy blue colour, and the decor that creates the border around the card is also very similar. You do have that connection with the Suit of Blades as being connected to the element of air. The storylines and the characters that will appear throughout this suit, generally speaking, are going to be based around Gawain and Mary, Archangel Michael, angels in general, and the complications and challenges that come from free will, essentially, and being rebellious and stepping into your own truth away from the crowds, and so on and so on. Some of these cards in this suit are going to incorporate the challenges that Gawain and Mary had, what they went through, and so on. I'm still working my way through designing the court cards. I still haven't kind of finalized who's going to be which character of the court cards, but I'm pretty certain that the King of Blades is going to be Gawain and the Queen of Blades is going to be Mary. That for me feels very, very certain, so I don't think that's going to change. If it does, then it does. I kind of go with what happens when I design the cards, you know, just like with writing a book. I start to design them and they take on a bit of a life of their own, so I let that process happen, and then if the cards tell me actually this is what I want instead, I listen and take it from there, really. So that is the Ace of Blades. Next one, the Suit of Wands, has been renamed the Suit of Dragons. I did consider going for fire, but it made no sense to have one fire and then not have the other elements there as well. It didn't sit quite right with me, so I ended up calling this suit the Suit of Dragons. And here is the Ace of Dragons up here on the screen now. I love this card. This is such a cute card. Okay, so we have the Ace of Dragons portrayed by this cracking egg and a little baby dragon coming out of it, and obviously that is symbolic actually of the end of the story, which is quite nice because this is an ace card, so this symbolizes the beginning, you know, the potential of the suit, but the end of the story actually brings in a brand new world, so that makes complete sense to me. Another reason I like this card is because a lot of these images are mine. The fire isn't. The fire I downloaded from a Creative Commons site, but the egg is actually my photograph of a stone egg. Oh, I've got it here. Okay, so this is my stone alabaster egg. It's lovely. I've had this for ages. I've got a very, very small collection of these eggs, and I took a photograph of it and then I just digitally rendered it and popped it up on here. So I really love that little egg that he's cracking out of. And this little dragon, you know, I basically just made him that way. I drew the wings on, and, you know, I'm not really too fussed. You know, I was thinking how three-dimensional do I want this to look, but actually any baby animal breaking out of its sack, it's all kind of like curled up and mangled, so I was quite happy just to have the wings look a little bit like flat and curled up and mangled, and it just gave it that slightly cute look. So you just see a pair of little glowing eyes there and just the tips of claws as it tries to break free. Now the dragon suit, very much like the Suit of Wands or the element of fire, it symbolizes potential, the seed of energy and creativity, you know, that oomph and that drive before you take off. It represents force and strength. It represents newness, new beginnings in every sense of the word beginning. The banner at the bottom is orange. In the major arcana it's red, here it's orange, and you've got this orange look to the border around as well. That basically creates the design for the Suit of Dragons. At this stage, I think that the King of Dragons is going to be Pueblo, and the Queen of Dragons is going to be Amy. I can't think of any other people that it should be. With the Suit of Blades, we've got Gawain and Mary, and here with the Suit of Dragons, we've got Pueblo and Amy. So that's a lovely little card there. So let's go on to the next one. Okay, the Suit of Cups, I've renamed it the Suit of Hearts, which makes much more sense because of all the romances and emotions that are present in the book and what our two big heart couple go through. And of course the couple that start off the book series is Carl and Eleanor. Before I even show you the card, I'm just going to say that they're going to be the King of Hearts and the Queen of Hearts. It was always going to be them. They started off the book series and in many ways very much ended the book series with what happened to both of them at the end of The Last Dragon, and how Eleanor brought Carl back was all to do with heart. It was all to do with compassion and forgiveness and just her love for him. So this is the Ace of Hearts. I really like this card. So I'm using anatomical illustrated hearts here for the heart pips. You know, they're not going to be drawn as hearts, they're going to be these anatomical hearts. And this is this hand, or these two hands, is actually one hand mirrored. This hand was downloaded from the public domain. It was an old illustration of a hand. I can't off the top of my head even remember the artist. And I really liked it. I looked and I thought that's quite interesting. It would look nice if they were two hands holding up a heart. So I actually did that and had a look at it, and there's something about it that I really liked, and I couldn't figure it out straight away what that was. And then I realized there's something a bit ghostly about them. It looks a little bit spooky, and it just highlighted the fact that half of the lessons of the Suit of Hearts, or the Suit of Cups, is actually all to do with letting go. We know that the Ace of Hearts represents the potential for bliss, for happiness, complete and utter fulfillment, a new phase in the area of love or the heart or friendships and so on. But a huge lesson of this suit is letting go of the past in order to move into that blissful place. And we see that with cards like the Ace of Cups, where you really have to walk away from something that matters so much to you. It's quite a huge thing. It's quite a grieving process. So we do have these complications, and I really like the fact that those hands look kind of ghostly and like they maybe belong to some kind of past memory, some kind of ghost holding up this heart, and this ghost needs to perhaps to be laid to rest. You know, there's many ways you can look at this card, but I put a glowing light in the center of the heart and also around the heart, because the heart is actually what's important here in this card, more so than the hands holding it up. Is about how you care for your heart and how you take your heart forward. So yeah, that's the Ace of Hearts. Now, generally speaking, the hearts are connected to the element of water. That is fine for this deck, no problem at all. I'm not going to mention the elements a lot for this particular deck, just because it's not 100% needed for the story of the Witching Pen, even though the elements are obviously there throughout the story. But obviously, if you read with the elements in your tarot practice or for yourself, then it's going to be very easy just to incorporate those elements as you normally would do with any other deck, with this one as well. The borders, I've decided to keep it kind of a romantic kind of colour. It's a kind of mauve kind of colour, which is really lovely, and it makes it just that little bit different from the Major Arcana banner, which is a more deep red. So I really like that. I think that looks quite nice. I don't know, I played around with the colour of the borders for this suit quite a bit, so there's a chance it might change one more time before you see it, but at the moment I'm happy with this. I have started to create a few cards in the heart suit actually, and it's looking to be a very interesting suit. This deck really takes on a life of its own as the cards come into existence, which is quite an exciting process. So I'm going to show you the last card now. The Suit of Discs, or the Suit of Pentacles as it's traditionally called, has been renamed the Suit of Worlds. The Suit of Worlds. The mantras that are associated with each of the suits, and I think it was Carl Jung that spoke about this a lot. With the Suit of Swords or Blades, the mantra is I think. And with the Suit of Wands, or Dragons as we've got here, the mantra is I desire. With the Suit of Cups, or the Suit of Hearts, the mantra is I feel. And with the Suit of Pentacles, or the Suit of Worlds, the mantra is I possess. The pentacles being about the material pleasures of life and the material needs of life. So with the Ace of Worlds, I wanted to incorporate that feeling, that mantra, I possess. This suit is going to be a tricky one for me to make, because It's not going to be exactly like the suit of Pentacles, where we're looking at materialism for materialism's sake. I mean, we are going to be doing that, and I'm going to align it as best as I can to Arthur Waite's system. But the rulers of this suit, the suit of worlds, is actually going to be the old gods. So the Queen of Worlds, I think, is going to be Morgan Le Fay. And I don't know if I've decided who the King of Worlds is going to be yet. I think it's going to be Abaddon, because actually he's a king of the underworld, as it were, and has been for a long time. So I think I'm going to have Abaddon and Morgana as the king and the queen of worlds. And that makes sense because actually they were kind of together at her end. So this card here, in the Rider-Waite deck, for the Ace of Pentacles, you've got a hand holding up a coin, and here you've got a hand holding up planet Earth, the Earth. And the whole story of the Witching Pen, it is revealed at the very end of the series, it is kind of this fight to possess the world, if you like, or the new world. So you have Morgan Le Fay looking to return home or to make the current world hers again. You have, Abaddon is kind of like the begrudging king of the underworld. He didn't want to be there. He wants to be there, but he made it his own, because, what choice did he have? And you have God himself wanting Eden back, and trying to, in everything he did, recreate his old home. So that is where the mantra I possess comes in to this suit. And I'm going to play around with it quite a bit. This is the suit that's going to give me the most problems. I already know that. It's going to be the most challenging to design. But the energy of what it wants to be is there, and I can feel it. And I think it's going to be quite a powerful suit when it's finally finished. The design of this is just like the Ace of Blades. It's very traditional. The hand holding up the earth. That's actually my hand. I couldn't find a hand that I liked online, so I took a picture of my own hand and I altered it a little bit. And yeah, that's me holding the earth up. Hey. Underneath the hand, you have the statue, the famous statue that is above Wellington Arch on Hyde Park Corner. That is the Angel of Peace descending upon the Chariot of War. It's a beautiful statue. And it's mentioned actually in The Demon Bride when Gawain rockets up through the crust of the earth from the underworld carrying Mary and Sophia. That's where he comes up, underneath that statue. So that's why it's there. You have some flowers there at the bottom right, jasmine flowers. Jasmine flowers is one of the symbols of the Witching Pen series, and it appears on various cards, so I'll talk about that some other time, but you've got some jasmine flowers down there. And then above the world, you've got the cosmos. So you've got another planet there and what looks like the moon. There is a cosmic element to some of these cards, and you'll see that with a couple of the major arcana cards as well, because of course we're talking about old gods and celestial beings. So there is that element to certainly this suit, the suit of worlds. So that is the 4 suits. Let's just go through those very quickly one more time. The Ace of Blades, the Ace of Dragons, the Ace of Hearts, and the Ace of Worlds. That's where I'm going with the suits of the Witching Pen. And like I said, it may still change a little bit as the cards are designed and the suits start to speak for themselves as they come to life. But this is the path I've started on, and we'll see how it goes. If they're anything like the Major Arcana card, they will look even better in person than they do on the screen in front of me, which is lovely. It's a lovely feeling to have those cards in my hands. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. I will see you next week for the flip through of the Major Arcana. I'm also going to talk through each of the cards. If you're a fan of the series and you know that story inside out, there's gonna be loads and loads of layers in those cards that really speak to you so much more than if you don't know the story. Until then, bye bye.